You couldn't even bring Titus O'Neil out or the pirate costume to save this one. But Hogan, the presentation, like I said in the beginning of this episode, the presentation of this Raw debut on Netflix had a UFC big fight feel to it. But then the performers and the people in the ring need to carry a big fight feel within the matches and have a big fight feel. Hogan, no matter what, if it was a house show, the occasional TV against Rusty Brooks, Saturday Night's Main Event, pay-per-views, whatever it might be, even if he did appearances, it had a big time feel to it, big fight feel, big event feel, whatever it is. He's the first larger than life character, which is strange that they booed him out of the building at the same time.
That's exactly what happens. Fans cheer the real American music and Jimmy Hart waving the flag. Poor poo-poo. But the boos started filtering through quite soon afterwards, and then Hulk Hogan got into his spiel. What was it?
Oh, I know what it was. I mean, you couldn't even bring Titus O'Neil out or the pirate costume to save this one. Hulk Hogan, people who've been living under a rock in 2024, Hulk Hogan openly endorsed Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention. The Raw Netflix debut took place right in downtown Los Angeles, one of the most liberal places in, if not the country, the entire world. You had everybody there from Hollywood and music, much less the people that live in the Los Angeles area. So my theory is, and my question more specifically, was it unintentional or was it somewhat intentional or even fully intentional that WWE, out of everybody, because Austin wasn't there, Mick Foley wasn't there, there was a ton of people that were not there, but you brought Hogan out. Now, they do sponsor Real American Beer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
WWE sponsoring it?
It's on the ring canvas.
Yeah, but well, you couldn't tell because it didn't pop out. But at the same time, you set this guy up to fail. Or is it the wrestling bubble that you don't realize he just endorsed a conservative president-elect at the time of this recording, and you're going to one of the most anti-Trump cities in the world. That's my theory. That's exactly why they booed him.
We'll get to that in a second, but what do you think the theory is why they left Hulk Hogan off Saturday night's main event? He is Mr. Saturday night's main event, yet there was no mention of him. I don't even think he was in any video packages. And then just a couple of weeks later, he's all over, or mentioned several times and then brought out and set up to fail, as you say, for WWE's Raw debut on Netflix. What's the thought process between ignoring him completely to making a big deal of him?
It's a very weird thing. You could add, I'm going to give my theory again. There's two different schools of thought that I'm thinking about right now, and one contradicts with what happened on Monday. Nassau Coliseum, Long Island, New York. Now, I don't know what the demographics are up there, but I know New York is right up there with LA and California with being extremely liberal. Maybe they were thinking we don't bring them up there because they're going to boo them. But at the same time, Jesse Ventura was featured on Saturday night's main event, and Jesse hates Hulk Hogan. Has not spoken to him since the WrestleMania 3 thing where he stooged off that Jesse was trying to start a union. Twice?
No, 2.
2, I'm sorry. WrestleMania 2. I'm sorry, I thought it was 3. But basically, WrestleMania 2, when Jesse was saying we should form a union or was trying to see how the boys would feel, Hogan stooged it off to Vince. That was found in Discovery where Hogan said, oh, yeah, Hulk Hogan told me about Jesse, and they were doing the lawsuit for the royalties. Did Jesse say, if he's there, and I can see Jesse doing that, if Hogan's here, I'm not here, which to me, I'm like, what do you do then? To me, in a way, Hulk Hogan would be a bigger name to have on Saturday night's main event, but Jesse was, here's another thing. Dick Ebersol on NBC loved Jesse Ventura. They might have requested Jesse Ventura. And that puts him in a leveraged position to say, if he's here, I'm not here. And they could be like, well, we don't need Hogan. We got him on the opening. Do you see that as being a possibility?
Well, that being said, why don't you include him in the video packages or anything? Because, I mean, there's no interaction between Hogan and Jesse. Would Jesse have, stipulated if any single image of Hogan appears on the same show with me, I'll never come back? I mean, that seems a little too extreme. But I just found it interesting that he didn't mention Hogan at all there. The Jesse thing's a big deal, obviously. I do understand that. But then, I didn't even make the connection of Los Angeles and Hulk Hogan. Do you genuinely think he was sent out there to fail? And then what do they do with Hogan next? They had in the same show Hogan promoting Saturday night's main event in a few weeks' time. So are they going to cancel Hogan?
Oh, they're
appearing
doing
there?
another one already?
Yeah, they've got 4 a year, I think, and they're doing another one in a few weeks or a month or something.
Wow, man, that's exhausting. That's way too much. Saturday night's main event used to be a special type of thing. 4 a year is like the old pay-per-view model, but we got 12, 13 pay-per-views now. I'm just giving you my thought that they don't do anything really by accident, or they're so far into the wrestling bubble, they don't realize it's January right now. Things are still pretty hot when it comes to identity politics, when it comes to the tribalism, when it comes to picking sides. And I'm convinced that's exactly why they booed Hogan in that building. And I'm surprised because usually the fans are in the bubble too and don't care about that stuff. They cheered Vince when he came back out on TV after all that stuff. Where you been?
That was prior to the Janelle Grant stuff. I mean, like, the accusations were a little more nebulous. I mean, they were still bad, but they still cheered Vince because they cheered Vince. That being said, WWE audiences, unlike UFC, UFC audience, I mean, they bring Trump out and they give him, the full, they roll out the red carpet for Trump and they don't care. Dana White doesn't care. They target a right-wing audience and it's fine. WWE tries to stay apolitical, but I believe they skew Democrat side to a point. Maybe not as hard as UFC skews to the right, but that being said, they bring up Hulk Hogan, he starts talking, they start booing. But they especially boo when he mentions his beard that he's advertising, and then they really boo when he says something about Netflix. And the Netflix executives must have been like, Jesus, we can never have him back.
Well, we don't know if he's locked in. Is he signed for appearances that go along with the sponsorships? Is he doing what Flair did with AEW? Is his salary the sponsorship to try to sell more beer?
Well, I mean, he's just a spokesman, though, isn't he? I mean, Ric Flair was the spokesman as well, but yeah, maybe the sponsorship just pays. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I tend to think that it all depends on if there's money being exchanged. If you're paying Hogan a salary and the sponsorship and there's a contract, Netflix might be like, well, why are we giving money to Hogan when he's getting booed out of the building? Unless, dude, why didn't Hollywood Hogan come out in LA?
That would be good.
At least if he got booed as Hollywood Hogan, we'd see. It's not there with Real American Beer, but it's very odd that you didn't have Nash, you didn't have Sean Waltman, you didn't have the NWO. You had them on the title screen with the intro. There was a lot of people like, we should probably, I could right off the bat, you told me Gunther, like we said, you had so many people, more notably not on the show than were on the show.
No, X-Pac was there. He was in the crowd. They showed him.
I forgot. So you could have had somewhat of an NWO reunion.
Oh, yeah.
Or something. Where they move on from now, I don't know. This could have been a one-off. They could promote Real American Beer with commercials or sponsored ads. Here's a question. Does Netflix have ads or is it ad-free? Was it an ad-free 3 hours, 20 minutes?
Depends on the tier of Netflix you pay for. They've got an adverts commercial tier, which, I mean, you'll probably have noticed, especially with the Rhea match, I noticed this, that I can't watch it live. I mean, I can, but, I mean, it's shown so late over here. I think it's like a 1 a.m. start that I'm not going to stay up and watch it. But they kept having a fade out and then fading back in again. So I suggest when they're showing it live, that's when the commercials, that's when the advertising kicks in. So
yeah, I just looked at at the lowest level ad supported tier costs $6.99 per month. If you can't,
and they will prefer it. They will prefer it if you get the ad sponsored tier because they will make more money out of you than if you pay a few dollars extra or a few pounds extra.
It's more than a few. It's more than double.
Yeah.
Standard plan is $15.49, which includes 2 screens. And a premium plan is $23.
You're not a fan of Netflix, I know.
And by the way, you pay for resolution as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if the $6.99 is just like 720p, 1080p, but if you want to get 4K, you got to pay, I think, $23 a month.
That being said, maybe Hulk Hogan, the Real American Beer Company, paid Hogan to be on Raw. Because he'll already have an ambassador contract with WWE anyway, I'm sure of that. So he could be getting paid twice. The beer company could have paid him just to be there, plus the sponsorship. So WWE just thought, well, there's a segment for free as well. One more thing, Hulk Hogan's like 71 or so. Yeah, he's still in good shape for 71, but should he give up on the T-shirt ripping thing? Unless he's got another T-shirt under it.
Well, this is a trap that we talked about with the Flair segment last week. That this is it. You're a caricature. You're a trope in yourself. Do the thing. Do the thing. Rip the thing off, right? That's all it is. I mean, it makes them money, you know? Hey, I have more than 5 moves. Look at how much money I didn't make. Hogan with his 5 moves of doom. Jeez.
Hey, we post 5 videos a week, and we do all right.
That's my 5 moves of doom. Yeah. There you go.
5 opinions of doom every week. There you go. From the Stevie Richards Show, available on YouTube and all podcast platforms.
That might be a segment to go what went right, what went wrong. FAFO or FAFO, whatever you want to call it. What's the new segment? Well, we have the many lives of Hulk Hogan, so you can check that out too.
Part 1 and part 2.
See, I didn't boo you, Hulk. I didn't react at all when you came out, but I didn't boo you, so that's good, right? I got your beer. Dutch and myself are going to individually taste test, finally, Real American Beer.